This is Eritrean Society, Inspire and Motivate. Today's guest is...
Bilen Zeremariam.
Okay, so we would like to know who you was before you became Queen of Hearts.
So my journey is very interesting. I am an interior designer by trade. I have been for the last maybe 11 years, 12 years now. So the introduction to before I was Queen of Hearts is definitely from an interior architectural point of view. This is what I studied, and that is still currently actually my career path. And Queen of Hearts is now in addition to interior design.
Okay. How long did it take you to study? What was the steps for you to take in order to...
So my course was 4 years in total. It was a sandwich course. I had work experience. It was interior design and architecture, which was super long, but very well worth it because you're really taught the foundations of design and the theory side of it. A lot of people associate interior design with painting walls and cushions, but this is very much very, very different to what you actually study at university. And I think it's a great first foundation because that really brought the knowledge later down the years when I need to think back to the theory of design. It's been good. It's been very good to have that as a start.
What motivated you to do that? What made you choose to do that at an early stage of life? You decided to do interior design. What made you feel like to do that?
Again, it was an interesting journey. I've always been a creative ever since I was a very, very small child. The gift I always used to ask for on my birthdays were colouring pencils and colouring books. I was a very, very cheap child, very economical for my parents. I was never into dollies or Barbies or any of that. It was always wanting to draw, to colour. I was a colour enthusiast, obsessed with colour. And drawing and learning the art of how to paint and things like that. That was something that I really enjoyed from a young age. So I have to say that is where it started. It started with the element of art. And I think for any designer, you start as an artist. So
growing up and telling yourself you're a creative and that's your vision. Were there barriers? Were there family barriers that said to you, "Oh, you should become a doctor, you should become a lawyer, you should become X, Y, Z"? Did you feel like, no, this is my passion, and you did you follow that through? Was there barriers?
That is a very good question, and that's a question that I get asked a lot, and it's an issue that I think a lot of people from our culture face, and I was very lucky because I didn't face that. And I honestly believe because I was encouraged from such a young age to go off and to study art and design and to study interior design, I think that's the reason why I've been able to just grow into me, myself as an artist. So I think for all the families out there that have a young child and who is showing signs of some type of artistic ability, whether it's performing arts or whether it's painting or drawing, encourage them. Very, very important because the nurture of any child really starts at that young age. And if you're encouraging your child to do that from a young age, you will see the fruits of your labour when they're much older.
So what is it like your work-life balance? Being a creative, having a family, having your own time, children. How do you deal with that work-life balance? It's
tough. It's very tough. And this is another conversation I have with a lot of my female friends and a lot of other women in business and people that are working hard and maybe doing a side hustle or trying to start a side business or have a day job. Work-life balance is extremely difficult, but I think the drive and if you have passion for what you're doing, that is the main ingredient. That's exactly... You have to motivate yourself. No one is going to do it for you. No, not your husband, not your wife, your sister, your brother, your mum, your dad. You have to 100% motivate yourself. It's all down to you. It's your responsibility. You're in charge of your own success. So I think knowing that has been the reason why it's pushed me to maintain a work-life balance as much as possible. So designated time, I've got a little boy, he's about to turn 4, he's the light of my life, I have a husband, so it's a lot to juggle, but it's possible, you can do it. There's many hours in the week, so you can do it.
So when people tell you, oh no, I can't do this, I need to find a career path, or what do you tell them? What would be your advice to them?
You mean in terms of wanting to start something that they're passionate about?
Yeah.
I think again, it comes down to the passion. You have to love whatever side hustle or side business you want to start. You need to love it, and you need to understand what you want to do first as well. I think having a clear goal about what it is that you're wanting to achieve is important. That's your foundation first. And once you have an idea, work hard at it. It takes time. And I think there's this preconception when you start a side business or you start a new business that money's going to come in quickly. It doesn't. In fact, it doesn't come.
It takes time.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. And I think people give up on genius ideas. Everybody has genius ideas. But the only difference between the successful people that have gone on to do these businesses is that they haven't given up. That's all it is. There's no difference. So I think you have to, perseverance is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So perseverance.
Yes.
Your self-belief.
Yes. And definitely patience.
And patience.
As well. Yeah.
Is there what's that drive? What motivates you?
Wow, that's a big question. I would say this is a funny one. What motivates me is striving for more. I'm my own worst critic, and I will never believe when people say to me, oh, like, how do you feel? You've done well, you're successful. What is success? For me, success, I'm not there yet. Not at all, and I don't think. Success. I'm probably the worst person to ask this question to, because I will never say I'm successful, and I think perceptions. People might see you as successful. You might not see yourself. It's not that I don't see myself as successful. I think I'm proud of what I've. No, I don't think I am proud of what I've achieved thus far, but I definitely wouldn't end it and say I'm successful. I'm gonna just leave it at this, and I'm not gonna strive to succeed even more. So I think for me, success, if we're talking about in material things, or if we're talking about, there's different ways to look at it. Success would be, if I really had to explain it, maybe a beautiful big mansion, couple nice cars, and giving my son whatever he wants, and but at the same time making him understand. I think also success would mean, as a mother, if I'm talking as a mum, success is my child and my child's successes. Same way with our parents, them coming to this country, their children are their success, and I think it's the same thing for me. So yeah.
Would you count something like this? We're in your studio using your background, your material. Would you say that's success in itself, that you've actually reached this stage 10 years in the game of interior design?
Yes, definitely. I'll take that. I embrace that, and maybe sometimes I am too hard on myself, but I think that's what happens when you decide to become an entrepreneur and you start to your own business. I think if you get complacent, you have to be careful. So continuously striving is not going to stop for me. But yes, I also have to appreciate that there have been successes, and this is a success with my people doing an interview, having a chat like this, in the studio. Yes, it's a success for all of us. It's definitely a team effort.
Well, who inspires you?
That's an easier question for me to answer. My parents. They inspire me. They have inspired me. They always will inspire me. My parents are an absolute inspiration to my life and to the way I live my life. My parents came here a long time ago. They came here in the 70s, and I was born in this country. This is my town, London, and my parents inspire me right from the beginning of their story, when they came to this country young, and so much hope and all this kind of like innocence, and have gone on to be successful people and have careers and and build foundations here, and they're massively an inspiration for me. to be a good person and to be a good mum and to be a good wife. And then also from my mum, you know, she was a working mum. She was a social worker for many years. And I saw her as a role model. She is a role model to me, and she balanced work-life balance. She had 2 kids and she was able to juggle a lot. And she's massively the reason why I am the way I am now. So they are, both of them, massive inspirations.
Is there any inspirations within the creative process? Is there someone that you look at and say they've achieved great heights, or they're acclaimed in that field? Would you say there's anyone that inspires you in that type of category? Yes,
definitely. I think creatively, in the creative industry, I have inspirations in the fashion world. I have, I think the editor of Vogue, Edward Enningful, is someone that is a huge inspiration to me. He's the first black editor of Vogue, and he's broken so many boundaries, and still is actually. So I think for me, massively, it's not closed to only interior design or flowers related. I think a creative is a creative, no matter what path they take. So I'd definitely say editor of Vogue, Edward Enningful. I also was hugely inspired while I was studying by Zaha Hadid, who is an Iraqi-born but British-brought up architect. And she was a massive role model for me. She passed away sadly a few years ago, but still inspires me so much. The style of her architecture is memorable, and she's still a huge name in the industry. And I think her coming from an Iraqi background and studying interior architecture, it was great for me to see someone, if I'm honest, somebody that was from a ethnic background and that had gone on to do so many amazing things. She was huge for me, yeah. So.
Okay. Do you have any mentors?
At the moment, I don't know if I can call my brother my mentor. I have one older brother, so we're very close. He is a mentor in terms of life skills, finance, property, you know, all of these very, maybe not creatively, but very much has taught me life skills that actually have taken me quite far. So I'd say that my brother is definitely a mentor of mine. He's the person I call up if, you know, I need to talk something finance related, and you always need someone like that in your life, you know. So he would definitely take that space.
So we're going to move on to the business aspect of this. How did you start your business?
So my business started very organically. I had my cousin and his wife over, and my other younger cousin, and it started from a conversation. It started from a conversation with my family members saying, you know what, I haven't really seen anyone doing flowers, you know, floral design, that within our community. That's how it started. And then my cousin pushed me and he said to me, you start it, you do it. You've got interior design background, you know what you're doing when it comes to coordination, colors. You start it, you do it. If you think you can do it, just do it. And I was like, well, how though? Because I've never done anyone's wedding. And then fast forward a couple of weeks later, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. She was getting married 2 months prior to that conversation. And she said, I trust you. I know if you can design someone's house, you can design my wedding. And the rest is history. And I did it as a gift for her. And I said, listen, you pay for the flowers, I'm going to do the rest of the setup. And she was more than happy with that. And I just went for it. I did the first wedding, and it was a massive hit. And then a referral started from there. I ended up doing her cousin's wedding, and then started an Instagram page. And this is something actually for all the youngsters that want to, or not even youngsters, anyone that want to build content, creative content. And you don't know where to start, because you might not necessarily have someone that will entrust you with a wedding. I was very blessed to have that friend. But what I did, along with that wedding, I built my portfolio. Build your portfolio. This is how you're going to get clients. And in order to build your portfolio, I started to do styled shoots. And I started to just get whatever friends I had from the industry, photographers that I knew, makeup artists that I knew. The art of hustle came from there. And I just called upon different people and just said, listen, I need to do a photo shoot. I'm new to this wedding stuff. I need to, I haven't got a big portfolio of weddings. Let's start to do a styled shoot. Everyone jumped on board. Be sure to use the people that you have around you, guys. It's very, very important, because the people around you will do it for free. There's a preconceived idea. People always used to ask me, how do you do these shoots? Like, who are you using? These are people that other fellow creatives that are around me that are also trying to build their portfolio. If I'm winning, everyone's winning. So if I'm saying, you know what, blah, blah, come on board, I'm doing a styled shoot, you're going to get credited for it. I'm going to get credited for it. The makeup artist is going to get credited for it. Everyone's down. And that is literally how I built my portfolio, like that. So I'd say to all the youngsters out there, please, please use the circle you have around you. It's very, very important. And don't be shy. I think that's another thing. Don't be shy to just ask. Just put yourself out there, because that's the first step in order to building. So that is exactly how I started. I built the content on my own with the help of the people around me. And I think that I was very lucky in a way that I had already come from a creative background. And I think no matter what industry you come from, also professionalism, it doesn't cost nothing. And to be professional and to work with people that are professional around you, you're bound to have a successful photo shoot, or, to go on and do positive things. So that's how I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how difficult is that, the financial aspect of it all? Do you see that you have to start from zero, or do you have to inject cash in order to reach that starting point?
Yes, you do. Yes, definitely. I would say you put in what you get out. And so many people, I have these conversations so often where people don't want to inject that much money into things because they think it's a waste of money, or they think that they're not going to get anything out of it. So a styled shoot, myself and everybody else involved doesn't get paid for that. Just FYI, guys. When you're doing a collaborative shoot with somebody and you're trying to build content, no one's getting paid. All the payment is basically you getting credited for that work. And a lot of people in the beginning didn't understand when I was lugging boxes to a location in a park and I was doing a setup on a table for a shoot, or to do, the early stages, people could not understand why I was doing it, because I wasn't getting paid. If you start with that mentality, it's the wrong one. You have to remember that it will come. That once the content is strong and you're putting whatever day job money you're putting into that, just remember, build your content. Then you have you've got ammunition to charge later on. But at the stage where you're just starting your business, you have to humble yourself. Remember to humble yourself, guys. And you have to just appreciate that you're building your portfolio. So I definitely would say that, yes, I definitely financially had to inject money into it, location-wise, product-wise, flowers-wise. I work with fresh flowers. So I had to really put money into it. But then I had the mentality of, later on, I'm going to reap the rewards of this. And I'm going to have, when potential clients want to use my service, I'm going to be able to say to them, look, this is what I've done in the past. And then you build it from there. So I think the mentality of I need to get paid for this is great, but maybe not so much at the early stage, because you are starting, and that comes with time.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how long does it take to build that portfolio? Because we did talk about portfolios. Yes. How long does it take to build up a portfolio?
So I think personally for me, it took a good year actually to build a strong enough portfolio in order for me to say, and again, like going back to what I said earlier, I'm my own worst critic, and I already had the advantage of coming from a creative background, and I know how important a portfolio is to represent this creative, this designer, or this artist. So knowing that, I gave myself a good full year of styled shoots, you know, trying to get published, you know, doing weddings in between. And I'd say 1 year for me. However, everybody's journey is different. And maybe for some people to build a portfolio, it depends on, it's very interesting because it depends on what creative you are. If you're a photographer, maybe it doesn't take that long for you to, but it depends. But me personally, I think you should put the time in and spend at least a year to get yourself at a point where you're confident enough to showcase your service to people. You know, it takes time. So don't run before you walk. You know what I mean? Gotta take your time.
So how do you overcome failure? Because some people look at failure as to give up.
Yeah.
And some others look at failure as to basically a learning curve.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that process?
So failure is a very strong word, and it's a word that people use lightly. Again, what is success and what is failure? It's perception. It's based on opinion. Like the creative industry, and this is the toughest thing about the creative industry, everything's based on opinion. So failure is something that shouldn't even be in your vocabulary, actually. Failure, if I was to class things, I failed a long time ago then. If I would have put failure as a description on some of the things that have happened to me over the last few years, I think that word, I failed or failure, is something that we have to be very careful that we don't even interject or talk it into existence. That would be my advice to any person that wants to start a business. And I'm not saying that you have to be in la la land and problems don't occur. Problems definitely occur. I've faced so many issues already. But do I see it as a failure? No, I've just transferred that and seen it as a lesson, not to do next time, or to take from that failure that some people might class, just to educate myself and try to, you know, better it next time. So I think failure, if I'm trying to give advice on how you should try to avoid thinking that you failed, don't put a time on things. This is something that I would say if you take away a timeline, and you say, because let's be honest, this is how people think that they failed. They think that if there's a certain timeline, and I'm saying to you, you know what, guys, if I haven't made my first million in the next 12 months, I'm a failure. I've failed. Why? No, I haven't failed. Why am I putting myself under that type of pressure? So I say my advice to any person, and to any young Eritrean, or to any young person that wants to start this new journey, don't put a time frame on things. Let things work holistically, organically. Let them come when they're ready. You know. So that's how I would try and rephrase the question. Yeah. I'm a typical creative, because any question you ask me, I'm going to give you a artistic, creative answer, if you notice. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No, what you said was had logic. It makes sense. What was the difficult thing about building a brand from scratch?
You know what? Probably quite a lot of the stuff I've mentioned actually is okay, how do I say this? Basically, the patience part of it is tough, because naturally I'm not a patient person. I'm not patient at all. All my friends and family would be able to tell you this. I move fast. I'm fast. I like to. My speed is very fast with a lot of things in life, and starting my business was a big lesson for me, and learning to understand that it's not going to happen in my timing was something that I learned. Patience was key.
What was the difficult thing about building a brand from scratch?
I think the art of patience, definitely. Learning that not everything's on your timeline, and you want to move things, faster than they should be. I'm very impatient. I'm an impatient person, impatient character. So when you have a business, because it's reliant on, you've got a lot of stakeholders, there's lots of things that go into it. It's not just about you and how fast you can do something. So I'd say being patient was difficult. That's something I've had to learn.
Okay. What type of person mm-hmm. should be an entrepreneur?
Somebody that doesn't sleep.
Okay, so let me. There are people that follow, and there are people that lead. What defines a entrepreneur for you?
I think an entrepreneur is definitely someone that is bigger picture. Maybe not someone that focuses on details so much, and somebody that can foresee in 5 or 6 years' time, I want to get there, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. That's an entrepreneur. Someone that I'm not saying. I think an entrepreneur always needs to have, like, I could never be a finance director, and I could never be someone that is in charge necessarily of operations, a director of operations. I am a creative and I have a creative mind, but I definitely need other people's financial ability and more operational ability to support me to get to point B. So my husband comes from a finance background, and this plays a massive role in the drive of my business, actually, because he's a numbers man, and I'm a speaking and a more creative person. So the combination works well. Again, my brother, everybody close to me has always come from more of a numbers background, and I like to keep people that are numbers and more detail orientated close to me, actually. Because I feel like it keeps me grounded, and it reminds me of life is not just some pretty picture like how I would like it to be, and there's things in place that you need to adhere by to make things function well. So that's been quite interesting, actually. When I look at who's close to me, I'm always around people opposites that are completely different personalities, so that's always worked.
So in essence, what you're saying is that although you're a leader, you have people around you that also 100%, lead.
Yes. Okay. And I think I love leading, and actually in my day-to-day job, I'm also a line manager to a team of designers, and that's great and everything, but I also work alongside other people in our business that are definitely more detail orientated and help me get to that next stage. So even if I want to say I'm an entrepreneur, I think it's definitely it's a team effort. It's not, you need people, and you have to remember to be, again, you have to humble yourself and take the help where it's needed and respect other people's opinions. I think if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn to listen. And I'm not saying to take every opinion on board, but I'm definitely saying that if you've got the right people around you with the right mindset, you can go even further, and they can support you with that vision.
Okay. Spoke about work-life balance. Yeah. So you also do have a day job.
Yes.
So how do you cater to your business as well as the day job? So
going back to the work balance, actually, not even work-life balance. So I have, and like I said, I'm still in the industry. I still work within the interior design industry, and it's all projects related and property based. So I would say that actually, people ask me all the time, how are you juggling doing your side business or your business and having a day job? And for me, because the day job, I'm very blessed. The day job is not the job that I hate, that I'm trying to leave. I love the day job. The day job is the passion. The day job is interior design, so it's still always going to be a passion. So I don't actually think I'll ever leave interior design, only because it's so connected to floral design anyway. There's a massive connection. And in fact, what my day job does is keep me inspired. Keep my time management to a T, actually, So I feel like In the evenings, I dedicate to obviously my son and my family. But alongside that, you know, when my son is asleep, I'm straight on the laptop talking to clients, talking about up and coming weddings or events. You know, there is enough time in the day for you to manage yourself. And like I said, it's down to you, you know, it's all on you. If you want to make this work, you can. But I think people love the excuse of, I don't have enough time. I can't do it because I'm tired. What is tired? I don't even know what that, I think, I don't even know what tired is anymore. I think I've gone past the stage of like trying to run around after a 4-year-old, a day job and a business. So you get on with it if you want to. Yeah, if you want to.
What are your sacrifices? What are you sacrificing in a sense?
Yeah, I think sacrifice is something I have a chat with my girls all the time. All the time we talk about sacrifice. I think sleep is definitely a sacrifice. Sleep is massive. I don't really sleep anymore. And I've made that commitment because I know that this comes with it. This is part of the game, you know. And also I'd say even having time with your loved ones as well. There's a massive sacrifice there. You dedicate a lot of, you know, I'm here in the studios a lot on weekends and I have a little one. So he's almost growing up in this studio. He's running all over the place. He understands flowers now. It's, you know, it's a massive, I try not to see it as a negative, and I try to, my parents always tease me and say that, you know, he's growing up a mini entrepreneur just before he's even 4 years old. So he's definitely learning the art of mummy. He knows mummy is always busy. Mummy is always busy, whether I'm on my laptop or my phone. You know, he's always next to me. But I'd say that I've tried to turn it into a positive. The sacrifice, you know, there's a lot of mummy guilt that I used to feel. Not so much anymore. The older he gets, the more he's understanding. And actually now that he's not a baby anymore, I take him to the flower market with me, you know. And he understands, like, when mummy is buying and putting stuff into the car, into the van, and, you know, he's starting to understand. So the mummy guilt is not as much as it used to be as he's growing older. But it's, it's tough. It's tough. Time, you sacrifice time a lot with your family and things like that. But it's all worth it. Yeah.
What mantra do you live by?
A few, actually.
Okay.
A few. I think mindfulness is a big one. Mindfulness, making sure that I'm okay up here. The mantra I live by, there's a few of them. Like there's like 2 that I make sure that I live by them.
What are they?
So I'd say the 2 main mantras that I live by is definitely like mental well-being, you know, making sure that although I said I don't really sleep, having time on my own to recollect to get my thoughts together, to get my plan in place, to, you know, to write things down, and to put me first before anything else has made me be a healthier mindset, and I can think clearer, you know. And another one would be probably I've touched on this already, but striving to succeed, to continue to keep going, you know, to just keep going, don't give up, you know, just probably perseverance. I mentioned that already, but perseverance is I don't know if you'd call that a mantra, but it's something that I live by. Probably, actually, it's something that the thought of never giving up. Yeah. So
that whole process, that building a business, having a work-life balance, work balance.
Yeah.
You know, creative process. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So how do you keep your well-being? How do you hold yourself? How do you maintain yourself? If that makes sense. Anyway,
that, you know, and going back to the mindfulness part, this is where time on my own, even if it's for like actually I use, although I'm not physically alone because I might be on a train going to work, I put my headphones in when I'm going to work. And that journey time, whatever it is, that 45 minutes that I'm on my own, I'm in my own thoughts. And there has been so much magic that has happened with me on those train journeys, planning, when am I going to do my next floral workshop? What do I want to do for the next shoot? What magazine do I want to get published next? There is so much that when I say, I'm not talking about being zen like on a beach, because that's not realistic for my lifestyle, but I'm talking about that time of 45 minutes a day or an hour a day that I'm on my own and that I don't need to talk to anybody and that I'm putting pen on paper is definitely something that for my well-being has helped me a lot. And yeah, I think that's developed a lot of ideas for me, actually, that time on my own. With a very busy schedule, like how I'm living at the moment, like I said, on a train journey, or even if I'm walking for 10 minutes down the shop, or I'm driving and I'm on my own, I think basically what I'm trying to say is time on your own is very important. To be in your own thoughts is very important. And the lifestyles that we live now, we don't always, whether you have a child or you don't have a child, or whether you have, a business or you don't have a business, it's London life, it's a rat race. And not everybody has time to sit down, have a coffee on their own. Sometimes, even if you don't have a lot of responsibilities. But I'm talking about using that time, whether you're driving, whether you're walking, whether you're on your commute to work, you're in your own space at that time, you're by yourself. So use that time, write something down, or have an idea about what you want to do. Even if you're not writing it down and it's in your head, just use your time on your own wisely. Try not to, listen, Netflix and chill is great. And going to the bar on a Friday night is great, okay? But you have to really watch how you're investing your time. Because if you're not using that little free time that you have to better yourself, you gotta, chilling is great, and I'm not saying you shouldn't chill. You should definitely learn to switch off. And I can just hear some of my friends saying, it's because you don't chill. That's why you're telling people don't chill. But no, you can definitely chill. But I think also put some time aside for maybe your self-development. Even if you're just reading a book, or you're wanting to start a new course, or you use some time in that 7-day week to think about how you want to better yourself. This is so important. And this is something that for our people in general, and for our community, I'm a very proud Eritrean, very, very proud. And I'd say to the youngsters, just Instagram is fantastic, but believe you me, I would not be on Instagram if I didn't have a business. I would not be on it. I have a business, and therefore, it's a requirement to make sure that my service is out there. But don't spend too much time on Insta or Facebook if you're not really gaining anything from it, I think you just limit your time on it, because the youngsters now, I see them, they're on it for hours.
How do you choose your target market? You use social media. Yeah. How do you choose a target market? So
this is interesting. I don't choose a target market, and people have asked me over the last couple of years, who is your target market? I don't have a target market. I have my business is open to anybody, and if you can see from my work, I use models from all different nationalities, and this is done on purpose because I'm born in this country, and I actually have been raised with different nationalities, different religions, and it's a massive part of it's a massive part of the nature of this business actually. I cater to the cultural bride, but I also have done a lot of European weddings as well, English brides, and so I don't have a strict target market, and I want to keep it that way. I want for people just to know me as somebody that can create bespoke designs for them, not necessarily, she's Eritrean, so she only really works with Eritrean people. Not at all. Eritrean people I love, and have done Eritrean weddings. But I'm also open to every other nationality also, and that's a big part of how we've been raised here, So that's the beauty of being multicultural.
So let's continue about the branding side of things. How did you create that name, the Queen of Hearts? 'Cause it sounds like you've got a lot of hearts. So how did you create the name? How did you brand that name?
Do you know what? If you want to know the truth, this is a very cheesy reason. So my name is Bilen, and a lot of people call me B. That is the name that everybody calls me. And a lot of the time, the name that has followed me everywhere has been Queen B. I promise you guys, I ain't trying to claim this name. It's not something that I think I'm a queen. It's not that. I really don't know why, but I do. I obviously Beyonce, people call her Queen B and all of that, and then B as in the Queen Bee, like the actual bee. But it's just a name that's followed me everywhere. Queen Bee, oh Queen Bee, hi Queen Bee. It's like I hate it, but I've come to love it now. And so Queen of Hearts was just a funny conversation, because someone told me one time, you're our Queen of Hearts of the office, or something like that, like years back, about 10 years back. And I just thought, you know what, Queen, everyone's calling me B, Queen. It just all came together. And then I just thought of Queen of Hearts. And I do have a lot of heart. I love people, I love being around people. And heart is a big, having heart, people having heart around me, people that have good hearts around me is extremely important. It's massively important. And I put heart into everything I do. So that just kind of like, that was the reason why. There you are. I told you it was going to be cheesy. Sorry.
How do you choose your target market? You know, you use social media.
Yeah.
How do you choose a target market? What is?
So this is interesting. I don't choose a target market, and people have asked me over the last couple of years, who is your target market? I don't have a target market. I have my business is open to anybody, and if you can see from my work, I use models from all different nationalities, and this is done on purpose because I'm born in this country, and I actually have been raised with different nationalities, different religions, and it's a massive part of it's a massive part of the nature of this business actually. I cater to the cultural bride, but I also have done a lot of European weddings as well, English brides, and so I don't have a strict target market, and I want to keep it that way. I want for people just to know me as somebody that can create bespoke designs for them, not necessarily, she's Eritrean, so she only really works with Eritrean people. Not at all. Eritrean people I love, and have done Eritrean weddings, but I'm also open to every other nationality also, and that's a big part of like how we've been raised here, you know. So that's the beauty of being multicultural.
So what is your unique selling point? What is your USP?
So my USP goes back to the fact that I'm multicultural. This business is multicultural, and I've tried to invest in that and make sure that that's the message that comes across. I have best of both worlds, you know. I grew up here, I was born here, but I also had a very cultural wedding myself, but with Western elements. And I think a lot of the time, this is a very niche, flowers and any type of floral design for weddings it's a niche market. And so far, and actually talking from experience of when I got married, I really struggled to find a florist. I ended up doing them myself, and actually that was another reason why I started this business much later on, because I needed someone to understand my culture, but also would be able to give me style and elegance and know design and interior and make and transform an interior. And I feel like there's a couple. Coming from an interior design background and understanding spatial design is important, and this is what I've injected into this business, and the multicultural part of this business, and understanding my client base. My client base is someone like me, you know. When I say multicultural, I have brides that are coming in and out of the studio that were born in this country, raised in this country, but have an ethnic background, so we're able to relate a lot on those grounds. You know, they want to make the family happy, but at the same time they've got a taste of their own that they want to adhere to, so it's about balance. And I found that my unique selling point is definitely in the connection with the client.
Your journey has brought us here. You've recently won an award, the UK African Wedding Award.
Yes.
The UK African Wedding Award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's been I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I was nominated, but I didn't think I was going to win. The competition was great. Like, you know, these are people that I know in the industry that are amazing. So I'm very, very humbled by this award. And yeah, talking about in connection to the multicultural aspect of my business, this award definitely makes me feel like I'm going in the right path. You know, I've done a lot of African weddings in the last year, and again, going back to the connection that I'm having with clients, I really feel like this is something that is very special to me. And going back to the name of the business and hearts and all of that stuff, and the fact that on that day I refer to a lot of my brides as the queen. She's the queen of the day. She's the queen. She's the queen. So these key words are definitely in connection to the name of this business, and the award really for me just signifies that I need to just carry on, and I need to keep producing and creating beautiful weddings for African couples, European couples, Asian couples, whatever. And yeah, I'm really happy with this award. It's a huge honor, and hope I make my people proud.
Definitely. So what's, without telling us too much of your secret, what have you got in place for the next 10 years? What's your plan for the next 10 years? Because we're now in your studio. Yeah. So what are the plans for the next 10 years?
You know, I would love to definitely expand the business. I would love to be able to have people join the company as well. I'm on the lookout for creatives, internships, you know, projects with other young people to join me, you know. And I would definitely, if you're interested in collaborating, if you're interested in doing a shoot, or if you're interested in working together, please DM me, email me. I'm always really, really happy to network with people. Networking is a massive, massive part of what I do in my interior design job and also in my business. It's part of it, and it has to be something that people continue to do. Actually, networking is huge. It's a huge part of growing. So I'd love to have more people join the team, you know, and of course just do more weddings, you know, and push the boundaries in terms of creativity. I am now doing fashion editorials now for other publishing magazines. So it's gone from wedding related work to more fashion editorial and high fashion, which is really good. And I think for me as a creative, I want to expand my portfolio and be known for being different, you know. I'm definitely for all my loved ones out there, they all know that I don't follow any rule book, and I haven't really followed a formula that I can tell people. Actually, my formula is very organic. It's very just persevere, and like all the key words that I've mentioned about having patience and passion, it's all of these things. There's no right way or wrong way how to do this stuff. I think you just have to go for it, and the journey is beautiful. So go for it. Don't give up.
Okay, so this is more aimed at people that don't understand creativity, if that makes sense. Because there are people that say, it's just flowers, or it's just the painting. Yeah. You know, how would you explain to them about creative process, about
This is a hard one because everybody interprets creativity differently. And like I said, I'm always around a lot of people that are not actually creatives. So trying to explain a styled shoot and trying to explain a lot of the stuff that I do, they just look at me like, what is this? However, I don't talk too much when it comes to my creativity. I like to show action. And as I've gotten older, you know, I'm in my 30s now, you're a lot more self-assured when you're in your 30s than you are in your 20s. And I have to say to any young person, you know, your journey in your 20s is so different to the journey you have in your 30s. You're a lot more self-assured, and you know your abilities a lot clearer the older you get. And I would say that in my 20s, maybe I would try to explain, but in my 30s, I don't. I let the action talk, and I let the work show for itself, you know. Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to ever explain your creativity to anybody. Whether they like it or they don't understand it or they love it is up to them. That's a yeah. You just need to be confident in your ability, and actually people will respect you for that. And yeah, you need to be a confident creative, because then people buy into that.
What advice would you give someone starting their own business?
So my advice would be to anyone that wants to start their own business, put a plan in place and put things on paper, or write it down, whether it's in your phone or on a piece of paper. And don't be too hard on yourself if you don't have a... I mentioned this before about the timeline. Don't restrict yourself. You know, and don't think that there's this perfect way how to start your own business. There isn't a perfect way. If you have an idea and you're passionate about it and you're prepared to put the time in, then go for it. That is all you need. The belief in yourself, I would say, is the first step. I probably could have started this business a lot earlier. Had I believed in myself and had the confidence to do it earlier, I would have started it earlier. But it was almost, I think everybody's journey is different, but if you, one day, the penny will drop, the light will turn on, and you will believe in yourself. It might not happen right now, it might not happen in a year's time, but one day, if it's meant to be for you, it will happen. It will happen. But don't sit, I say this to a lot of people, don't sit on genius ideas and then get angry when someone else has done it. Mm-hmm. Because that's on you. You didn't make that happen. So you have to put the time in. You have to, like, it's not just gonna fall in your lap, you know? So yeah, I'd say believe in yourself. That's a huge part of starting your own business. Yeah.
Okay. Through your business,
yeah.
How do you empower people?
So I host floristry workshops quite often. I tend to do them probably seasonal, but I also hold private like masterclasses or workshops for smaller groups on quite a regular basis in the studio. So my next one is Mother's Day, guys. Watch out for the dates. It's 22nd of March. And this is where me personally, I like to empower others. This is the empowerment part of this business, which was a massive part. Teaching is something that I'm very passionate about, actually. I really, really love to teach. I love to equip people with new skills. And in this case, in the past it's been interior design, but in this case it's for my own business, and it's with floristry now. And I have people come into the class that have never ever worked with flowers, don't know how to cut a flower. So I teach them from basic level all the way up to whatever level, and however long they want to have these classes, I do it. It's a massive empowerment piece that I'm going to continue to do, and I'd love to expand in the future, maybe in a bigger location. And empowerment is definitely for me connected to educating and educating yourself and bettering yourself. So I really enjoy the process of having people in the studio, teaching them new tips and tricks, and something that they can take away with them, and people that come back as well. That's a really, really positive thing for me that I've seen over the last few years, is people coming back to the floristry workshops, which is really, really special, actually. So yeah.
So we spoke about your stuff that motivated you,
mm-hmm.
and the people that inspired you.
Yeah.
So Zaha Hadid empowered people to be different in architecture. What is Bilen, Queen of Hearts, about?
Bilen at Queen of Hearts is about being a trendsetter. I don't follow a cookie cutter way of working with my clients. A lot of the things, I always laugh with my clients whenever we have consultations where they struggle to look for a picture to show me. And actually, I like to just work with what their opinion is and my opinion is, and we come together to actually create something that hasn't even been done before. So this is really important to me, and this is what I'm driving in the ethos of my business, is bespoke. Bespoke is a massive word that I always use, and a lot of the time the stage setup or the flowers that are on the table is not necessarily something you would see on Pinterest. We use it as an inspiration tool, but it's not something that I base my designs on. A lot of it's based on the conversation, the couple, you know, the style, and trying to recently I tried to convince one of my couples to go for a black tablecloth, which they were equally nervous to do because it doesn't really happen often. But pushing the boundaries is something that I'm known to do in my interior design world, and I'm definitely going to keep that motto in my floral design world. I don't follow rules. I never have when it comes to creativity. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And sometimes we get scared to be different. And I would say my motto in life, actually, and going back to the mantra that I live by, is dare to be different. Don't be afraid to be unique, you know, and make if we're specifically talking about flowers and your wedding, don't worry about it not being done before, you know, in a location that hasn't been done before, or a table design that you haven't seen before. It will look beautiful, and you'll be the couple and the people that will be known to have done something out of the box, you know. So that's something that I'm pushing. I'm trying to start my own trends, and yeah, that's what I would say.
Now we're in your studio.
Yeah.
We're using your facility. So how do we find Bilen? How do we find Queen of Hearts? Whether it be online, how do we contact you if we want our weddings to be prepared or helped in designing? How do we find Queen of Hearts?
So you can find me on Instagram at Queen of Hearts Floral Design. You can also email me at info@queenofheartsfloraldesign.com, and you can also go on queenofhearts.com for my website. So I'm everywhere. You just need to type in Queen of Hearts, and you'll see my picture pop up there. So I'm easy to find, guys. You can find me. I'm ready for you.
Okay, so this has been Eritrean Society.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, guys. I just want to say really, really proud of you all for putting this together. This is an amazing platform that I completely support, and I want to see more. So I look forward to the future for all of us.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Yo, I don't need a coach. I don't need advice.